people! Welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host, as always, Jeff Stormer. This week on the show, I am joined by Starshine for a game of No Springs, a two-player role-playing game inspired by industrial films of the 1940s and 50s. You know the ones, the black and white 50s films that would ask you to imagine a world where there were no springs. No Springs is a two-player role-playing game in which one player takes on the role of a victim who is visited by a teacher to illustrate the value of some concept out in the world. Usually this takes the form of the teacher illustrating the value of this thing by sort of torturously removing it from the world and showing the catastrophic consequences of what that world would look like. Using a tug-of-war inspired back-and-forth dice system, the teacher and victim butt heads and engage in ideological warfare until one of them comes around to see the perspective of the other. The game is really, really fun, genuinely very funny, and I loved playing it so much. You can find more information about No Springs at starshinescribbles.itch.io or check the show notes for more information. Now, with all that said, let's go ahead and throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. This week, I am sitting down with Starshine. Starshine, thank you so much for coming on Party of One.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I am so excited for today's game. I've been looking forward to it all day. So why don't you take a moment and let our lovely listeners at home know about what we are playing this week, as well as anything else you've got going on that you might want them to know about.
Today we're playing No Springs. It is a love letter to industrial films of the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, specifically a film called A Case of Spring Fever, which was made by the Jam Handy organization for Chevrolet to promote the concept of springs to the American public. Obviously, these shorts were very influential at the time, because they were a place of high camp and often weird surrealism, because you're trying to promote these very abstract concepts to people in a visual medium. Basically, the film has a sort of your average Midwestern American man trying to fix a couch. He says, well, I don't want to see a spring ever again, which somehow summons this thing called Coily the Spring Sprite, which removes all the springs from the world and then torments him for 8 minutes. And obviously these shorts were massively influential, because obviously you can see sort of John Walters and David Lynch have pulled from these, but they had a second life in sort of the late 80s, early 90s with shows like Mystery Science Theater 3000, who would riff on them, and famously No Springs was, at the time, the last short MST3K did before the reboots. And this game is basically about recreating one of those shorts, where one of you plays the annoying little teacher and the other one plays someone just trying to go about their day.
I heard that pitch. You gave me that pitch when I was like, what should we play for the show? And you were like, this is the game. And I was like, I lost it. I was sitting in my office just giggling. As a child of a particular age, I came up in the 90s. I came up in the 90s, and so like my specific exposure to industrial films is through the works of one Troy McClure from The Simpsons. Who you may remember him from such films. And that and Futurama were the two things that like gave me like they were the things that introduced me to that vein of industrial educational film.
Yeah, and specifically, The Simpsons did reference A Case of Spring Fever in A World Without Zinc, which is basically the exact that they just remade the film effectively.
I love it. I love it so much. I love every time they do one of those weird industrial films, the Futurama ones, which is the noisy. It's Robot Fever, the noisy killer. It's great.
Yes.
All very good. I've been so excited for this. This is so my jam. So why don't we go ahead and dive right in?
Sure.
So we have to choose which of us will be the teacher and which of us will be the victim. The teacher is the entity or person that is going to introduce us to this world, and the victim is the person that is being subjected to a particular hellscape.
The host preference. Which do you want to take?
I genuinely don't know, because they're both extremely good.
Hence why I'm passing off the choice.
No, I appreciate it. No, I get it. I see it and I respect it. I think I would like to be... Here's the trade-off I'm going to make. I would love to be the teacher, but I would like for you to choose what the thing is that we are experiencing a world without.
Sure, I thought, because obviously if we're the teachers, this makes sense, why don't we do podcasting?
Yep, there it is. That's good. I'm good. I'm excited. Fuck, I was not prepared for that. As soon as you said, like, since you're the teacher, I knew what was coming, and yet I was not able to prepare myself. This is good. I'm excited. I'm thrilled. So as the teacher, I need to devise a theme, a name, and an appearance. I've got the theme, which is podcasts. The name is... I'm gonna go with Wally Waveform. Wally Waveform is the name.
Oh, that's perfect. I can immediately see what that would look like as well.
Oh yeah, Wally Waveform is like if you're looking at Audacity Audition, it is just a waveform that like moves and it's I go immediately towards object with googly eyes and Gumby arms.
Yes.
And what I'm imagining is like a waveform, like a constantly wiggling waveform with just full-on like claymation arms and legs and big goofy googly eyes.
Oh, that is perfect.
And the idea that the waveform like moves in accordance with him speaking is very, very funny to me.
Yes.
Because it adds this little bit of nightmarish to the film itself.
It's a bit eldritch.
Yeah, just a little bit, and I'm excited about that. So that is my teacher. Introduce us to our victim.
Well, I'm gonna reference another short, I think, by being Henry Slinkman. He's a man from a short called Correct Shopping who likes lima beans.
Great, I love it.
He is your average American man from the 1950s, always wearing a trilby for reasons not fully explained. And really, he's just living a nice bachelor life on his own in his nice little apartment. Maybe he's a bit, not the most kept man, but he's trying, God bless him.
Of course he is. So this 1950s man is going to be introduced to a world without podcasts, which is extremely funny to me. So the teacher explains what the victim did to summon them. I think we open... What does Henry's living room... Henry? You said Henry Slinkman?
Henry Slinkman. That's my name, sir.
What does Henry's living room look like?
Well, I have all the modern conveniences. I have one couch brought freshly from the famous European designer IKEA, in front of my medium-sized TV, next to my hot plate where I heat my soup. All the modern conveniences here.
All the modern conveniences. And I think right now, you have in front of your very impressive modern television, you have pulled up your favorite TV show, when in front of it, the streaming service that you're playing it from plays an ad for the newest We Less Than Three podcast production of a podcast by the cast of... What is the last bad thing that you watched or that I watched? I have to think about this.
That's a good question. I have no idea why my brain's going to Riverdale.
You know what? I see it is the Riverdale. It is a Riverdale analysis podcast by the cast of Riverdale, which I say out loud. Which I should know. This is an important disclaimer for people listening. I'm not ashamed to say I would probably admittedly listen to that. I need that on the record.
I will say I do, because Riverdale films locally to me, and I'm worried they'll come beat me up.
All right, well, good. Well, for your own protection's sake. But the official Riverdale podcast is playing on a streaming ad, and drawing from a real experience with a streaming channel that I've had recently, the software has had a bug, and it's played the same ad for you 3 times in a row.
Oh, no.
What is Henry's reaction?
Oh, not again. Why does haven't... Last time I checked, Archie was an ugly man who somehow had 2 pretty girlfriends. Can't stand these modern reboots, all trying to be meta and different. Oh, I tried to watch it once, but it gave me a headache. I wish all these podcasts would just disappear. Let us watch media how it should be. Not on demand and picked for me.
At which point, from the speakers in the back of your TV, comes an inky blue mist that is coupled by your hot plate switches on by its own accord, and the sizzle that it makes starts to make a little spiky waveform. The IKEA table creaks, and with that creak, another sort of waveform, and they all kind of twirl together. When Wacky Wally waveform lands down, gives a big wave, and says, "Well, now hold there, buddy. Can you imagine a world without podcasts?"
I want to imagine a world without podcasts.
I just
want my TV back.
I don't know if you've really considered what that world would look like. And with that gives the biggest, awkwardest arm wave as we get truly the most indulgent rainbow wipe that you can imagine. And suddenly we are out and about in the city. So with this, do I take the first turn?
You do, yes.
All right, talk us through what a turn looks like.
Basically, you start with 4 lovely d6 dice, and you may make as many actions as you want. Basically, I'm actually going to say that again. You start with 4 d6 dice, and when you make an action, which for the teacher can be pretty much anything because you aren't bound by the laws of reality, unlike some of us, you roll as many of those dice as you wish. So you can roll 1, 2, 3, 4. You're aiming to get over 3. If you get over 3, you succeed. You explain how that happens. If you get under 3, I get to explain how you fail, and you have to give me the dice you just rolled. This whole thing is tug of war, trying to get control of the end of the film.
Got it.
Another thing to remember is, while you can roll multiple dice, you can only use each physical dice once per turn, and if you roll several dice and 2 of them roll the same number, you have to pass over one of the dice as well. So rolling more dice means you're likely to succeed, but also opens up the chance that you may lose a dice from matching them.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So I think the 2 actions that I am taking here as I give us this big awkward rainbow wave is teleporting us to another location, which I have in my head, and removing their theme from the world and removing the world of the beautiful world of podcasting from existence. So I'm going to take my 4 dice. I'm going to roll 2 sets of 2 dice to try and get a 3 or better on each action.
Mm-hmm.
That is a 3 on my first action to teleport us to another location. And that is a 7 for the second action. Podcasts have been wiped from existence.
But the teleport failed.
The teleport has failed, so what has happened then, what that means is that I've given a rainbow wipe and we are still in the apartment. That is very funny.
Just Henry is there staring at you like, have you seen how much transit costs in this city? We're not going anywhere. If you want to talk to me, you can do it in my own home where it's nice and comfortable.
I don't know. Have you heard how much transit costs these days? Because news podcasts don't exist anymore.
Henry's just there with the blank expression of a man who is still trying to work out what this creature is and if he should call the police or animal control.
So because I have failed my teleport action, you take these 2 dice and I hold on to my other 2.
Yep. So I get 2 more if I want to use them. And that's both your actions done?
That is both of my actions.
So we trade off. Well, Henry is now in a world without news podcasts, even though he doesn't realise it yet, but he's still in his nice house. So Henry, being a man of sort of just general calm, he reaches across to the hot plate, gets what was a can of Campbell's chunky soup, but it's been used several days ago, and he's just going to try and put it right on top of the waveform. And as he does, he just mumbles tell the landlord about the rats again. And I'm going to commit
I love it.
Three of my dice to try to do that. 6, 8, but I got double 3, so I lose one of my dice again.
All right, so I am back to 3 dice.
And I am back to 4. But yes, I just put the cup, the can of old soup over the top of it. And now with Caesar going, sometimes the simple things really are the best. You know, I'm going to turn on my favourite new talk show and see how that's going. At least it'll drown out this little thing, whatever it is. And I'm going to commit 2 dice to try and turn on my favourite talk show. And I got 2. So
Great.
You take 2 dice.
So that puts me up to 5 dice.
I'm back down to 2. And that's the end of my turn. I'm not risking any more of mine.
All right. So when you turn on the talk show, it is chaos. What has immediately happened is the host is sitting around covered in flop sweat, like his index cards are kind of sticking to his forehead. He's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make this work. All of the celebrities are gone, and I am going to use an action to remove their theme from the world, and to further emphasize the impact, I'm going to roll 3 dice to make this a reality. That is a 2, 3. That is a 7 total, so that succeeds. So I'll put aside these 3 dice. And what has happened is, without ways to just share their opinions on microphone every single week for who knows how, for tens of listeners, celebrities just got so frustrated with their careers that they all just stopped appearing on meaningless talk shows. There are no more celebrity talk shows because without outlets for celebrities to just air their every single opinion, where are they going to go? What makes them a celebrity if they can't just make a podcast at any time ever?
Henry just watched this for a couple of minutes like, not a fan of this new comedy. Far too silly for my tastes.
And I think I'm going to roll my other 2 dice to try and teleport us to another location. That is a 5. So you click the clicker as you try to change the channel. Everything around both of us turns to static, and you and the couch and Wally Waveform, who is still in a tin can, have appeared in has appeared in a cluttered suburban basement, and you hear, "Potentially the start of the terrible world without podcast."
Just looks down at the can like...
Candace just wobbling.
Henry just looks around. I didn't even bring a coat. What the... Oh, I'm going to be in so much trouble if people find out about this. What have you done anyway?
I really made it. This is a world where podcasting does not exist.
Henry just goes like now putting his ear up to the can like,
As soon
you're
as
the weirdest rat I've ever met.
As soon as you lift up the can, I imagine liquidy like a Salvador Dali clock while he just like slinks out of it. That's right. I have created a world in which podcasting doesn't exist.
So why are we here then?
You don't recognize this? This is the studio of every 2 guys talk about something podcast there is. And you'll note there's no podcast studio, no microphones, no obtrusively placed posters to be in front of a YouTube camera. Just a basement.
Henry just looks around, I think it's an improvement. Those men have joined the workforce, and this basement could be used for hobbies. Look over there. That's the perfect space for a woodworking table. In 5 years, they could have lathed a table. Isn't this a better world? One with free tables for everyone? Ornate cross-stitch? I think this is a boon for Etsy.
Is that an action that you're taking?
Yes, I'm going to praise Etsy.
Good. I love it. That's great. That
I'm going to
fucking
commit
rules.
1 dice because I don't want to praise them that much. And a 1, so I am now down to 1 dice. So my praising of Etsy fails.
And I think what happens is I say, "Is that so? Why don't you go ahead and look at the Etsy app on your big fancy smartphone?"
Henry sort of sighs with the look of a man who is kind of slowly accepting his fate, pulls it out. This is like an Android 1 as well, so he says,
yeah.
Give me a second. Another couple of seconds. I hope you
I
realise
have a group plan if you want to.
They let you sign up for one of those?
Oh yeah, I mean I have a line of credit. They were really excited.
Ah, I didn't know you were union.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I've got it open, or at least it looks surprisingly empty.
That's right. Because all of the dudes that were on Two Dudes Talk About Things podcast flooded the market, Etsy bottomed out and could no longer afford its distribution costs. Now the only website that still exists is and I am going to roll 3 dice. That is a 14. The only website that exists now is ThinkGeek. It's Woot. Woot is the only website that exists anymore, and there are limited time sales of shirts that all say this would be better with bacon, because it turns out all of those dudes started making the exact same t-shirts.
Oh, you monster.
All of this could have been avoided if only those bland, unimaginative weirdos could have just been spewing their opinions into a microphone for no one to listen.
No, I refuse to accept this. There are positives.
Oh, really?
Just because you've ruined modern culture doesn't mean historical culture doesn't exist. No. I'm going to the library. And there, I'm going to show you, 1, the folly of your ways, and 2, that the classics will always remain, even without podcasters. And using my only dice, so I am on thin ice. R5, so we're okay. Yep, Henry just stands up, walks, gets to the door, and sort of fiddles with it for a minute. Because he's slowly realising he doesn't actually know where he is. So sort of just walking through what was this person's house, effectively. So, don't mind me. Just dealing with this little creature. Madam, please stop. Please stop screaming. It's totally fine.
Everything's fine.
Please stop screaming. We are leaving. No, just reached into his wallet, pulls out a business card. Henry Slinkman, my couch is in your basement. I'll be back to pick it up in 4 to 5 business days. Please don't sit on it. I've just had it cleaned. Just walks out onto the street and starts to walk where he thinks the library is, but he's not entirely sure because this is a new.
I think you're able to, in that way of industrial films, like everything is like right next door to each other. There's a big sign that says library right next door.
Yes. See, that's how tax dollars going to work. That is, and that's the end of my turn.
And I'm gonna roll 4 dice here. That is. I think that I am injecting something into the scene here. I'm summoning an object from thin air as you walk into the library. There you are. We get the cinematic effect of like when somebody opens the door and there's like a band playing where like you're kind of blown back by the air for a second and the noise volume. Wally either side of his weird vacillating waveform puts on a pair of earmuffs and walks in. And there are just people screaming at each other, and every single table is just random people just yelling at each other with their full fury.
Oh. Henry just puts his fingers in his ears. What's going on in here? Libraries are meant to be quiet.
Well, you see, without history podcasts, every angry person with an opinion about the war, it doesn't matter which war, every angry person was forced to relocate to the library where they will have their loud, red-faced, angry arguments with one another instead of with a microphone. And I'm going to roll another 3 dice to take another action.
Oh, dear.
Now that actually gives you 2 new dice because I matched in 6s and I matched in 2. So let me ask you this. So previously I rolled a 4, a 5, a 6, and a 2.
Yes.
Now this time I've rolled, that was the 4 dice I rolled last time. This time I rolled 3 dice and I rolled 2 6s and a 2. Mm-hmm. Does that mean that do the 2s match? So I give you a dice for the 2s, even though it was my last roll.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So take a dice for that, and then you'll take 2. Is it 2 dice if I roll 3 matches?
No, just the one. If we get one match, each match number.
You'll take 2 dice back, putting me down to 5 dice, putting you up to 3 dice.
3.
But what happens is at the same time, you are very nearly bowled over. You are very nearly bowled over by somebody wearing like a medieval cloak and like swinging from a rope. And every modern mythology major without having their own mythology and folklore podcast has just been acting out various pieces of mythology right here in the library.
Henry's there like, Mother said this would happen. This is why she told me to become a plumber. But Henry, now bowled over by the man, spends a moment sort of considering his next move, also while still being deafened. He goes, "But Wally, tell me something." Oh, then he realizes it's noisy again. "Wally, tell me something! As an older American male, surely this world of intense combat and weird mythological fantasies are built for me. In fact," he goes over to the man with the helmet, "I think I'm going to finally live out my dream and become a Viking." I'm going to roll 2 dice to try and steal that man's hat. 7.
Great.
Just walks up, because we're an industrial film, the second that extra got off camera, he just stopped moving. He has no blocking past that.
Oh, yeah.
So he's just there, effectively T-pose, and Henry just grabs his hat, plonks it on. Somehow the hat fits Henry, just between the cut. Suddenly got bigger, and Henry's like, "See? I think I like this." And just think, Henry. Henry? My name's Henry. Oh gosh, I'm losing my mind. Just think, Wally. Now, I'll be able to claim a kingdom of my own. For instance, I may claim this library as my domain. "You there!" points to the librarian. "Fetch me a Christmas carol. I'm going to show you what happens to little things that annoy people." And I'm going to just roll 2 dice, see if that person will listen to me.
All right.
6, they do.
Great.
Yep, so the librarian, who is, for some unknown reason, dressed in like a classical Roman chariot attire, ducks down and pulls out a copy of A Christmas Carol, which Henry picks up and starts to leaf through.
Are you making another action?
Nope.
Great.
Just leafing through a book.
Great. I am going to roll 3 dice immediately.
I'll go for it.
That is a 14. The copy of A Christmas Carol you are given is like it practically crumbles in your hand. It is so old and beaten up, and the librarian looks at you with just misery in her eyes. This is the only copy that we have. We can't get any other copies. Our modern systems of commerce and transit and logistics have all fallen apart because no one can afford the astronomical cost of stamps, and no one has heard of a better way to order stamps efficiently and effectively. And Wally Waveform just meaningfully looks, no one has ever heard of better ways to buy stamps on the internet.
Henry just looks, shakes his head. "There are some things I will deal with, little thing, but you have just crossed a line. Without stamps, what will the philatelists do? If this happened to the mythology majors, I hate to see that." You taking another action?
I'm trying to decide what other... I want to take another action. I've got 2 more dice, and I'm trying to decide what my other action is. I I think that my other action is Yep, okay, I know what it is now. I'm gonna roll 2 dice. That is a... so take 1 more dice, because one of my 6s has matched my previous roll.
Not the it's only on the same roll.
Oh, it's only on the same roll, so then I roll 2 dice, I succeed at my roll. And what I get is... and Wally walks up and, like, jumps onto a table to put a hand on your shoulder and says... And because nobody knows about innovative drag-and-drop website building technology, nobody can communicate better ways to live or to work. Everyone's websites are so clunky, and I don't want to tell you the worst part.
Henry just looks for a brief second.
No one even knows you're a Viking king because you don't have an easily built website to convey that information to the world.
Henry's like, just takes the helmet off in shame. He's like, I have upset my forefathers. Just has a moment, he looks, just reaches across to Wally, like, Wally? And for a brief second, it looks like he might be about to give up. Then he just sort of stamps his foot down. No! I refuse to accept it. You might think that you've got one over on me, but no. There will be one positive to this world. And I know where to find it. Henry sort of looks around for a brief second, and just at the corner of the shot, you do see the actor just grab the helmet again and just put it behind his back. He just wants that for personal use. We're going to the park. The ducks. Ducks have no need of podcasts, and ducks, well, watching the ducks is brilliant, isn't it? That will not be affected. Rolling 2 dice to see if we can go see a duck. 8. We are going to see a duck.
All right.
This is Henry, with the confidence of a man who does not know he is beaten, just strolls past. That man who was with the helmet is still over there, and he's still just stuck. He doesn't have any more set direction.
Great. I love it. So we are now in the park.
Yep, the lovely green space.
And I am going to roll... let me think about my action for a second. I am rolling 3d6. That is a 4, 5, and 6, so that is a 15. And what happens is you get to... It looks like Woodstock. You get to the park, and there is just throngs and throngs of people surrounding this duck pond. You see a duck walk by, and it is just swarmed by people, like, just looking at it and pointing at it. Wally walks up. Remember all those celebrities that said they didn't have careers anymore?
They've become ducks?
Turns out every single one of them thought, I'm just going to go to the park and look at ducks. Because they don't have schedules and assistants and careers anymore, so they can achieve a life of peace and serenity. Which means that ordinary people like us can't look at the ducks anymore.
Those Hollywood bigwigs are always coming and looking at our ducks. Nope. No, Henry sort of crosses his arms, tries to sit on a bench. There's already someone sat there. Like, you know what? No, I have a plan to fix this. I have a plan. And how many dice do you have left?
I have 2 dice left.
Ooh.
I have 5 dice total, but I have 2 dice I have not used, and I don't think I'm going to use them on this action.
Okay.
I don't think I have another action this turn.
Okay. Then Henry is going to reach into his pocket to try and produce his pen. Going to commit $2, 2 dice to that. 8, but a duplicate, so you take a dice.
All right.
Henry produces his pen, produces a piece of paper. I am going to write to my congressman, and he'll make this duck pond only available to people like me. And I know you can't do anything about that little thing, 'cause I know you can't vote.
Well, that's just mean, but you're not wrong, but it's cruel. That's cruel is what I will say.
Dear Congressman, I didn't vote for you last election, but I would like you to make the duck pond only available to the working man. Yours sincerely... I have just realised something. How would we buy stamps? At which point Henry has realised the folly of his ways and just folds it up into a paper airplane, just tries to throw it and hope it lands. I'm going to commit a dice, single dice. 5. So yes, he just throws this paper airplane letter, hoping it reaches his congressman.
We get like a side pan. We follow the paper airplane. The camera side swipes as the airplane flies across across the frame to land at the desk of a local congressman. And I'm gonna roll 4 dice for this. Take 1 dice to 2 matching 3s, but that is a 16 total. As the congressman picks up the paper. This is a great idea, but I'm so parched because I don't have ready-made meals with the ingredients shipped to me on a monthly basis, so I don't have time to make healthy meals every day. If only there was some way for me to find out and get a discount on my first 2 orders of custom delivery meals. Sadly, this doesn't exist, so I'm too tired and famished to finish reading this letter and pass this into law. And with my following 2 dice, which is a 7 total, there is an absolute rumbling as all of the celebrities peek up like they are gazelles looking up, as suddenly they all start to scatter, and you do get some time to look at that duck. But the Jurassic Park water is rippling. Wally Waveform's eyes go wide and stark, and he starts to shake and shiver. The business podcasters. What time is it?
Henry's pulled out his watch. 4 p.m. Why'd you ask?
No. We have to get inside.
Why?
And you start to see a shadow cross over the horizon.
Oh my god.
Without the obligation to make business podcasts, thousands upon thousands of leadership advocates and gurus and mentors and thought leaders all have enough off of their plates that they can leave work 1 hour early, and they flood the streets. It's a stampede, and we have to escape.
You monster. I don't want to be around those people. They're bad enough as it is. Well, where are we going to hide?
You tell me.
Henry, who is still slightly dazed from the jump cut, which he somehow saw, just looks around furiously for a few brief moments like, Oh, we can't go to the library, we can't go to the park. Where is a safe place that will be untouched by your corruption, little thing? I have it! My mother's house! Hasn't used a computer ever! So I'm just going to grab, literally squeezes the waveform, and he's going to try and run from the mob with my 2 dice. 4. So just pulling it off.
There's a whole chase sequence where we're just being chased by just hundreds upon hundreds of people in business suits, all screaming about innovation and disrupting sectors. We narrowly make it to your mother's house.
The classic chase, playing the entire time. Yep, it's gonna put Coy down, and not Coy. Gonna put Wally Waveform down and be like, and stand by my mother's door. Just taps the door a little bit. This is a world without podcasts already. And look, serenity, beauty, hard working. Things that you wouldn't understand. Hopefully she's in. I'm going to end my turn there.
And I'm going to roll 3 dice. To think about what I want to go wrong here. I'm going to roll all 5 of my dice here.
Ooh.
For one very big thing to go wrong. And I know what it is.
I have an idea.
That is 2 dice coming to you, but that is 20 plus. So what happens is you open the door, and What is the topic Henry does not want to talk about with his mother?
His career choice. She always did want him to become a plumber, but no, Henry went into the bright world of typesetting.
And I think that she gets inside and she's like, the neighbors across the street, their plumbing business is booming. They've got 3 practices. It's doing wonderfully. It is truly, it's the business of the future, and I really wish that you had stopped and considered your options a little bit. And Wally just kind of like sadly shakes his head. Without weird, half-heard stories from podcasts, your mother has too much time to focus on actual topics of conversation, and there's no easy out by saying, "Hey, did you hear the latest episode of This American Life or Prairie Home Companion?"
I knew that I shouldn't have supported them with that $5 5 years ago. Their programming and your dodging an ugly conversation was made possible by viewers like you. I knew I should have brought that bagel. Just Henry, this is the moment Henry just kind of breaks. He's like, oh no, not this. I went through this every single day from the age of 13 to 27. You're a cruel waveform.
I am only the conveyor of what a world would look like if no one had podcasts.
You monster. No. Surely there must be one positive to this world. One singular positive.
Are you going to take an action, or is it my turn?
I'm going to take one of my actions.
All right.
I'm trying to think what I'm going to do. Oh, I have the stupidest idea.
You have to go for it.
I'm going for it. How about instead? I know what will finally get rid of you, little thing. Poets! What are poets but podcasters with class? All I have to do is find a poet to calm these people and you'll be gone. Then I'll be able to return to my show and everything will be normal. So Henry looks at his mother. Mother! Please bring me the phone book. I'm going to find us a poet. 4 dice. Can we find poets? Yes, but you get a dice from it because I get a double.
All right, we're back to 4 each.
All square. But yep, he gets the phone book, which has not been touched for several years, very clearly. Podiatrist, plumber, and just the second he says that, Mum's like, that could be you, Mother. I've told you, typesetting. Poet, perfect. I'm going to call a poet and have them write a new poem, one that will calm the masses. And I'm going to use my remaining single dice for the turn 5. So just, gets the phone, calls the poet. Poetry hotline, how may we help you? Yes, I would like a poem written, if possible. One that's good at getting rid of... Look, covers the phone, looks down at Waveform. What are you?
A magical waveform?
They could get rid of a magical waveform. No, madam, I'm not drunk. No, I'm being deadly serious, actually. No, please don't redirect me. No, don't, please don't redirect me to the Birds of the Clown hotline. I've already said. Okay. He looks down again. Would you accept Ghost?
I would accept Ghost. Ghost works.
Sure. Yes, a poem to get rid of a ghost to sort of soothe the spirit of the nation. Hangs up the phone. Well, you'll be glad to know, not only will that poem be distributed widely and calm the populace and bring us to a world of culture and class, they actually had a sale on ghost poems. I just saved myself $5.
Oh.
And then it's immediately the mother's like, you owe me 12. Well, mother.
All right, well, I just rolled 2 dice to give yourself 1 extra dice, but it was a 12. So I think what happens is you get the poem. It comes out of your mother's very fancy fax machine. And it is like, if you are a ghost, we hate you the most. We wish you would leave. In you we do not believe. And Wally kind of like smugly sits in a chair, leans back a little bit. Without paranormal podcasting, all of those weird ghost people were forced to open legitimate ghost hunting businesses, which really drove down the ghost poem business. It drove down all of the paranormal industry as a whole has taken a real hit without people espousing with absolute utter confidence their random ghost beliefs. And
you're telling me the ghost industry is a spirit of its former self?
Fuck. Damn it. Fuck. Okay. And my other 2 dice is an 8. So the other thing that happens is you also are faxed a bill. You are also faxed a bill from the poetry hotline. And it is exorbitant. And Wally's like, and without podcasters giving vital business to crowdfunding apps, those costs have been passed on to the consumer.
I always knew this would happen. My darkest nightmares are coming true. Just considers for a moment. That kind of a grim silence hangs over. Almost like this is the reel they're going to cut when it gets released.
Mm-hmm.
No, I simply refuse, Wally. I'm going home. I'm going to go to bed, and when I have woken up, you will be gone. You are merely... This whole thing, it's merely a dream, very clearly a dream. All made up by my fevered imagination. I knew I shouldn't have brought that discount soup. So he sort of gets up, pushes his chair back, prepares to leave, and as this is a dream, I don't have to do anything. Mother, we've never gotten along, and I do not like your hair. Good day. And rolling, I'm going to roll 4 of my dice. Yep, that passes across, and no matches.
Damn.
So, yep, just gets out, storms, closes the door behind him, stormed home to bed. That's my turn done.
That is 1 more dice to you, but it is a 10 total. You lay down and it is like knives and rocks in your back. As Wally leans forward, where'd you get that discount mattress? If high quality mattresses at affordable prices are not available to the populace without podcast advertising.
Chris Jericho, why have you forsaken me?
And with no, those are all my dice, so it is your action.
Henry's just there, just cursing the name of Jericho and cursing the name of Omaha Steaks at the same time. It's like, is there anything in this world that you have not corrupted? That's it. I'm done with you. Henry now decides to go... Actually, how long have we been recording for?
About 45, 50 minutes.
Okay, so I'm going to take a very silly, risky action then. This is the moment Henry just loses it. He stands up, adjusts his tie. He goes to fetch that can again. Of course, he never gets through. He realizes his couch isn't there. It's still back in that other person's basement. Nope. No. He goes to his kitchen, gets a can, and just goes, you're going in the can, and you will stay in the can until you learn your lesson. Goes to grab him, and that is 4 of my dice. Oh, 5 of my dice, apologies. That passes, and again, oh, no, you get a dice from match.
All right.
Leaving me on my dice, yep, just gets the can and just shoves the waveform in the can, then just puts a plate on it. Crosses his arms. Peace and quiet. That's the world without podcasts. That's what I enjoy. That's the end of my turn.
And on my action, I'm rolling my 3 dice. Think about this. All right, I got my 3 dice. Ooh, that is an extra dice to you. That was an 8, but there was a matching 2, so that is a dice to you. So I'm down to 2 dice. As you go and you sit down. You put me in the can. You go lay down, and finally you are left alone with your streaming entertainment. Your TV is on. You flip through your channels. Finally relaxed in bed. But
none of your favorite shows are found. None of your favorite shows are available. You can't find them anymore, and you start to click, and you pull out your Android One phone, and you wait for it to load, and you wait for it to load, and you wait for it to load, and finally, you just can't find any conversation on the internet about any of your favorite shows. At which point the can sort of rolls in, and you hear, "Without Rewatch podcasts, there were no audiences for any of your favorite shows."
Just sitting there in pure disgust. Even Family Feud is gone. This is a dark timeline.
Even Family Feud.
It vanished. It was too pure for this world.
Without family, comma, reviewed. The Family Feud Rewatch podcast.
Without those out-of-context clips of slightly lewd sounding questions.
All played all under 30 seconds so that they could play them on the podcast without getting DMCA'd.
This world. Henry's having his gravest moment. The lack of Family Feud has pushed him over the edge. He's a man with nothing to lose. A man with very little to gain. He sits there for a brief moment. Trying to think what to do. No. Henry sort of storms into his kitchen. No. I will make my own entertainment, like my forefathers did. Humans are natural entertainers. I can find a way of amusing myself. I honestly can. And he said, looks around. I can, not you can. I can do things you're a can. So he gathers up some kitchen implements and wants to try and forge them into a musical instrument, something he can bare his soul with. And that includes going into sort of the electrical outlets and sort of into the kitchen equipment, sort of pulling bits out. Going to commit 2 dice. This could go very badly for Henry. Last 2 dice. Failed. I've got 2. I rolled double 1.
Great. So that means I get 2 dice?
Yeah, you get 2 dice, but I'm out of dice.
Oh, okay, great.
That was my last 2. So
all
Henry
right.
reaches into the fridge.
Is that the end of your turn, or you're at 0 dice, or your pool is a 0?
End of my turn as well.
Okay, great.
End of my turn, 0 dice. I've got nothing left.
Great. So then with that, you reach and you find... I'm trying to think what the most horrifying thing is to truly, end the story.
Trish, you could also have him, get electrocuted or something, and then wake up.
That is... So you get zapped. What happens is you get zapped and sent to hell, but it is your specific hell, so you get zapped. And you wake up, you get zapped, and you're in the hospital bed, and the doctor is leaning over, and the doctor's face starts to form a waveform, and he's like, Henry, you're on in 5. Henry, wake up, and you get shaken, and you are you're sitting at a recording booth, microphone in your face, as you look up and you see a large poster for trendsetters, and setters is in big letters. And they're all different. They're all letters in different typefaces.
Oh no.
And they're like, you're this week's guest on the latest episode of Trendsetters, the official typesetting podcast.
No! Waveform! Oh, I'll never do that again. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Wally Waveform is looking at you from the producer's booth and gives a little grin and quietly starts to walk away and looks. Never question the power of podcast, because if there is one thing, there's one lesson yet to be taught. We are coming for you. You can never escape us. Our power is infinite. And if you doubt us, in time, we will consume you. Good night.
The American
roll.
Podcast Association would like to inform you that podcasts, you need them.
Podcasts. Don't try and stop us.
That's going to get used out of context whenever,
Yep.
at some point.
Yep. Oh, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for
I
playing
love
this
this.
with
Thank
me.
you so much. I'm now going to be haunted by podcast demons, which...
Well, welcome to my world. Real quick, before I wrap up, where can people find you, your work, and No Springs online?
No Springs is on starshinescribbles.itch.io. You can find me on Twitter at StarshineScrib, and I have a lovely, shiny new website, which is amazing. There's no podcast on it yet, but there will be eventually. Fear that day. And that is starshinescribbles.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was an absolute treasure and a delight, and now I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take a future me.
Thanks, Bass Me, and thanks again to Starshine for coming onto the show. That game had me beaming and smiling and laughing from beginning to end, and it turned out to be exactly what I'd hoped, and I could not have enjoyed it more, and so thank you so much for playing it with me. This game is a delight. Be sure to go to starshinescribbles.itch.io or check the link in the show notes for your own copy of No Springs, and be sure to follow Starshine on Twitter at StarshineScrib. Then while you're on Twitter, follow us at Party of One Pod, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/partyofonepodcast. Join our Discord community at bit.ly/partyofonediscord to talk to us about the show, if you like this episode, or about wrestling or gritty or whatever you want to talk about. And if you particularly enjoyed the episode, leave us a nice iTunes or Podchaser, Spotify, Podbean. Leave a review wherever they leave reviews. They're all over the place, and I'll find them, and it'll put a smile on my face. You can also financially support the show at patreon.com/JeffStormer or Ko-fi.com/JeffStormer. Or you can go to bit.ly/partyofonemerch and pick up a Party of One logo t-shirt, a Future Me Past Me shirt designed by Karo Assertion. Again, that is bit.ly/partyofonemerch. And if you finish the episode and you think, oh, I just wish I had another podcast to listen to, I wish I just had another hour of good, enjoyable podcasting, well, don't worry, I got the perfect show for you. All My Fantasy Children is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast powered by you. Every week, my best friend Aaron Gatano Saez and I take a listener-submitted prompt. We spin it into an original fantasy character, and we populate a shared universe one story at a time. New episodes drop every Friday-ish at oneshotpodcast.com. The show is part of the One Shot Podcast Network. Party of One is, as always, produced and edited by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Megaran featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, coming onto the show as a guest, or about press coverage of the show, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And that's all we do here, so until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on, everybody.